So Konami have released 3 insane cards, and as you can see, I've got nearly 2,500 games on their previous versions. So I'm gonna let you know if they're worth an upgrade, or if you don't have previous versions of these 3 players, if you should go for the pack or not. Now, when we look at the first build I'm recommending for Iniesta, it's very good, and it probably is better than the previous version I have. The only major difference is you've slightly less defending, but you've got a lot more finishing. So my old Iniesta has 75 finishing, but the new Iniesta has, on this build, 88. So definitely a big difference. And considering he's a whole player, that's definitely going to be very useful, that extra finishing. He'll get further forward. The defending, I've always said that my old Iniesta has, he's got not great defense, that's okay, but he's really good at intercepting the ball. And that's obviously because I put interception on him, which we'll get to the skills in a minute. But if this new Iniesta is more attacking, you probably wouldn't be too concerned about the lower defending. Although, this new Iniesta is a whole player, whereas my old one is a creative playmaker. And creative playmaker is no longer active as CMF, whereas whole player is. So, since they've changed creative playmaker not being active as CMF, I've been struggling using this Iniesta as CMF. Whereas I do think whole player overall at CMF is a better playstyle probably for Iniesta. But then the lower defending is probably going to be a bit, I don't know if it's going to be an issue, but it might be a bit annoying. So if you are going to play him CMF, you could just take off a little bit of the dribbling and then get his defending. And once you've got like 2 of the stats to 70, you can probably get all 3 though. You'd have to take off a sizable amount of dribbling. But if you keep his tight possession to 96, and then can you get one more? Yeah, you can get the points back in. So you can get all his dribbling stats to 90 and still have all 70 defensive stats. So if you want to play him center, if you're 100% sure you're playing him center mid, maybe this build. If you think you're going to be more attacking and you purely want an attacking player, I would go for something like this. Even if you want to get the 95 dribbling, or you want to keep the tight possession capped out there, you can get defending a bit as well. You can also, if you have Pep Guardiola, take off even an extra point in defending and put it, or dribbling and put it into defending. So if you have Pep, you'll get +1 tight possession, and then that'll actually be 101 tight possession in game. The skills for Iniesta are very straightforward for me. I would go flip flap for the level 3 double touch, interception, like I said, help him intercept the ball in midfield, especially if you go for that build with the 70 defending stats. Long range curler, he's got a really good kick on power and curl and good finishing, so he'll be really good at the knock on finesse and just general finesse shots. And then on top of that, put acrobatic finishing, because Iniesta is a great dribbler, decent pace, whole player, wants to go forward, he'll be in the box. So there will be very often where you're shooting off a dribble. So when you're off balance, you want acrobatic finishing. Then I'd go long range shooting for the because he has the kick on power and finishing. And then if you were to take one of those skills off, maybe you don't put flip flop on because you don't use double touch too often, or acrobatic finishing, you're not confident you're going to get into the box and shoot them that often. I put gamesmanship, although gamesmanship isn't as effective as it used to be back in the day. So is this Iniesta worth the upgrade on the version I have? I'd say arguably yes. I probably am going to spin myself just because I have a lot of other players, but if Iniesta is someone who's important to your team, and this one should be out of contract by now for everyone, so yeah, it's probably worth the upgrade. The whole player might be useful, although one small thing, this Iniesta can play left mid and right mid, whereas the new one, you'll have to put position trainers on him for that. Not that I would use him right mid too often, but Iniesta being able to play left mid is actually very useful, so you're going to have to put the position trainer on him for that. But personally, I won't be upgrading, but I wouldn't say it's a major problem if you do choose to upgrade. So here is the build I'm recommending for Wesley Sneijder. Very good card, great passing. The lofted pass might not be too noticeable just because of the way lofted pass is working in this game. Good dribbling, good pace, kick and power. Finishing's 83. I was trying to get it to 88 for the +3 boost, but I couldn't really figure out a build that made sense. Do it. You could take off passing, I guess, and then do it that way, and then you'd have to take off probably 1 lower body as well, and then you get the 88 finishing. So yeah, maybe this build if you want the finishing, because passing is quite a bit lower. You're taking off a good amount of passing, but sometimes passing is inconsistent, so it kind of is annoying. Do you rely on passing and get it as high as possible, or do you just kind of work around it and try not worry about it? So that's kind of a dilemma I have. Overall, actually, yeah, I'd probably go for the shooting build just because of I can't trust the passing in this game. So if we compare it to this Wesley Sneijder card, yeah, the new one's definitely an upgrade. You can see, yeah, this one has slightly more tight possession, and that's the main difference between them. This one, this new one's a lot better, and everywhere else, pretty much, unless I can see it off the top of my head. Yeah, no, this new one's better everywhere else except for lofted pass. But if I had to choose between low pass and lofted pass, I'm taking low pass as my stat every time. If we look at the skills for Sneijder, again, it's pretty straightforward for me. I think the skills you want to put on him just make sense. So if we have a look at his card, he's missing double touch, obviously, just so handy to have, and then two really important ones he's missing, and I'm surprised he's missing them. I don't know why Konami do this: long range shooting and long range curler. Definitely put at least put those two skills on. He's got some of the best knock-on finesses in the game. It's not just because of the stats he has. Obviously, I'm basing this off the old card, but the old card's actually worse, so this one should be even better. It's not just the stats. He just, the game like gives him crazy curled knock-on finesses, kind of like, honestly, I'd say more OP than blitz curlers with Sneijder. So definitely put long range curler at least on him, but long range shooting too. So you got double touch, long range shooting, long range curler. I put flip flap on just because if you're gonna put double touch on, you already have slow control. Get the flip flap, and then the last skill is probably interception. I didn't know if I should recommend it or not, just because his defensive stats are so low. But honestly, I can't think of too much else that would be, you know, amazing on him. If you put interception on him, it'll actually work. The skills are more important than the defending, but I do find with someone like Iniesta, the last example, if you have 70 defending on them and interception, it's a lot better. Whereas this card, if you try to get 70 defending on him, it takes away from his strengths, and he is a different player than Iniesta. So that's why for the last skill, I also could recommend Super Sub, because I would maybe start Iniesta and then bring on this Sneijder from if you're trying to chase a lead with Super Sub, and then that means you don't put interception on, because you know you're only going to bring this Sneijder on if he has Super Sub. And then if you look at his positions, he can also play left mid and right mid, so he's definitely more versatile than Iniesta. You can't play left wing, but put a position trainer on. But I think versatility is really good to have on a Super Sub, because you don't know who you're going to take off, and you kind of want options everywhere. So for that last skill, yeah, maybe interception if you're going to start him, and then Super Sub if you get Iniesta and you want an extra attacking option late in the game when you're chasing the lead. If we compare this Sneijder to his booster, I don't think it's a major upgrade. Obviously you can change the builds around. This is the build that I just made a couple moments ago. I put the last point into defending. So right, that's Kaka. So if we look, the kicking power is a lot stronger on this new Sneijder compared to the one I have here, but the dribbling's a little bit better. And it's not that this old booster Sneijder is better, it's just I don't think it's worth the upgrade. It's a lot of money. Like the new one is better, but it's just, I don't know, it just sounds like a lot of money for a few extra stats. And like I said, the knock-on finesse in Sneijder is amazing. It's in the way that it doesn't even seem like he needs like the perfect stats. It's like player ID or something Konami give him. So I wouldn't recommend upgrading from the booster unless you don't have Xavi and Iniesta and you want them. Obviously that has to come into the equation, but if you're kind of focused on Sneijder, I would stick with the old booster. And probably maybe upgrade from the national team version I have since he's out of contract. But yeah, this new Sneijder is good, and he's probably, you know, the least anticipated player in the pack, but honestly I think he arguably could be the best. So now we'll go on to Kaka. Okay, for Kaka I have a few different builds. This is the first one. It's kind of a well-rounded one. You can probably take off the passing though if you want and go into a little bit more pace, but then I think the problem with that is you're only getting one extra pace, and then the points are going to go back into passing or physical anyway, so I wouldn't recommend that. I would just keep the pace at 92, get the pass up to 85, and then 81 point there in the physical, get the 80 physical contact, and then the passing up like that. If you don't care too much about the finishing, he is a creative playmaker, so you kind of do need the passing in my opinion. Right, take off the finishing to that level, take off one passing, take off the physical, and then get his pace up that way. And now he's a lot faster. The lower finishing he just took off is getting compensated by increased kicking power. So yeah, this build's good, but he is a creative playmaker. The Kaka I have is a whole player, and you know, I think that is a very important distinction. because this Kaka, if you also look at his technical stats, they're worse than the new one. Arguably, although the dribbling is higher, the pace is worse though, and it's a whole player. So this Kaka is very good for when you're bringing him on late in the game, and you have, like I have him as a super sub. You can beat into the park, dribble past the park the bus kind of tactics your opponents are using. But this one, it doesn't seem like it's going to be quite that nimble of a player. It's more of a playmaker, so that's why you have to go for the pass, in my opinion. And like, I don't know, I just don't think it's worth the upgrade, in my opinion. Because like, even if you put all these points into pace, you're not getting them to the same level as the national team. And I do think Kaka's pace is probably his biggest strength. So I would go for the build like this, by the way, though. This is the build I would recommend. If we compare him to the other Kaka, the AC Milan, I think they're similar cards. This one's a creative playmaker, or this one's a whole player, sorry, as well. But their stats are kind of similar. Maybe a bit less on passing, a bit less on pace, but more on dribbling. So I think this Kaka is, honestly, in my opinion, this old Kaka is probably better. It's not even a case of is the new one worth the upgrade. I would probably go for this Kaka if I had to pick one. And I'm gonna stick with my Kaka, the national team version. I'm not upgrading. At the skills, I'd recommend. So those are skills I have on the national team Kaka. The only one I wouldn't recommend there is Sombrero. But if we look at the AC Milan Kaka, or sorry, the Real Madrid one, he does start with good skills. He's just missing soul control and flip flap, because he has got long range curler, so that's why I would recommend the soul control, and then just put the flip flap on it as well. He's also missing acrobatic finishing, which is very important if you want to play him with that pacey kind of mindset. Now obviously this card isn't the best for the pacey mindset, but he still is good. Like, he's still going to be faster than most AMFs. So I'd put soul control, flip flap, acrobatic finishing. Then after that, you've got, I don't know, you probably put weighted pass on, just because I said you recommend, put a little bit of passing in, make that a little bit better. And then the last skill could be probably fighting spirit, or even super sub maybe again. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. If it obviously depends on your club if he's going to start or not. If he's not going to start, he is a very useful super sub to have. Also, Kaka would be a good player for scissors feints because he's got the long legs, so he can kind of start doing the body feints from further out and be able to release, because his legs are long. The window the defender's going to want to tackle, but Kaka's legs are long enough to take it away from him still. So scissors feint actually might be very effective on Kaka. So those are the skills I'd recommend. I wouldn't recommend upgrading from Kaka if you have other versions. The other two, Sneijder, yeah, probably upgrade, and then Iniesta as well, especially just because they're all out contracts on the versions I have. I won't be spending the money for it though. I just don't think it's worth it in my position, but for you guys, maybe you're a little bit more willing. I think it is. So that's the end of the video.